I would say I probably have underestimated her ability to raise funds. It seems like also when we talk to contacts on Wall Street that a lot of big donors and a lot of big company and corporate America are rallying behind Nikki Haley in an attempt to avoid a Trump nomination, basically. But her chances are still relatively slim. Hello out there and welcome to this week's GeoPortfolio. Geopolitics is of critical importance to your portfolio, perhaps now more than ever. And to discuss this, we are doing this weekly YouTube show where we present some of our analysis and research on the geopolitical side of things. And with me today, I have two of my great colleagues here at Steno Research, Ulrik Simmelholt and Anna Sandager with us from Paris. If you like what you hear on this show and would like to read more, you can go to stenoresearch.com to sign up for a free 14-day trial. Side of geopolitics, we do a lot of macro analysis. We have a crypto guide. We do a bunch of portfolios, etc. So there's a lot for you to find in there. So check out that. And if you only want to follow us on YouTube, please click the link to subscribe and get notifications. You know how to do that. So without further ado, let's jump into it, Anne. I would like to start with you and the ongoing primary season in the US. Have we underestimated Nikki Haley, you think?
Well, I assume, first of all, you asked that question because she recently announced that she would stay in the race even after Super Tuesday, which I think even I thought would be quite optimistic for her. Certainly after the first Iowa caucus. But yeah, today's big news story is that these donor figures have been published for the last quarter of 2023. And it actually shows that she leaves 2023 and enters 24 with around $14 million in campaign funds. So certainly she still has some fuels to keep going until Super Tuesday. Have we underestimated her chances at becoming the GOP nominee? I don't think so. These figures from that came out today about campaign funds also shows that Donald Trump vastly outperforms her in terms of small dollar donations, which just once again goes to show that the enthusiasm around Haley's campaign just is no match by any means to Trump. And the current pollings from South Carolina, the upcoming primary on the 24th of February, shows the same thing. So
absolutely. I think
overall, no, we have not underestimated her.
I'm glad that you agree with that. I would say I probably have underestimated her ability to raise funds. It seems like also when we talk to contacts on Wall Street that a lot of big donors and a lot of big company and corporate America are rallying behind Nikki Haley in an attempt to avoid a Trump nomination, basically. But her chances are still relatively slim. I did a tweet the other day calling Trump a low-energy, low-funding candidate. That was, of course, a reference to his former remarks about Jeb Bush back in 2016. But really, I agree with you. It's more a question of Trump not having spent as much as he could have on Iowa and New Hampshire and still having won it. He did way fewer stops in those two states than both DeSantis and Haley. So he has basically been running kind of a pseudo campaign so far and not spending all the money he could have. And then possibly, I know you made me aware of this, like he's been spending even more on his legal battles than on the primary battles so far. And that is perhaps some sort of campaign funding for him as well, because if he can avoid these trials, it will of course be a boon for him heading into the general election. So it seems like Donald Trump is focused more on his legal battles than on the battle with Haley. That might change if he continues to poll well, but the
figures are huge. It's upwards of 70% of his biggest super PAC is spending their money on his legal fees. So it's like insane figures, really.
Although Donald Trump and less legal battles doesn't rhyme very well.
No, that's true. Very true. Okay, so I want to move on a little bit to discuss maybe the biggest geopolitical topic of this week, Iran and the US. We've been receiving a lot of questions on this. Obviously, 3 US servicemen were killed in Jordan earlier this week, or on Sunday, I believe it was. Most likely targeted by an Iraqi group. an Iranian-backed Iraqi militant group. We have to be a little precise with these connotations. The initial response from the U.S. was to move a lot of military assets into the area. We expected a swift and huge reprisal attack, but a little bit to my surprise, this hasn't come. We saw the group in Iraq basically almost apologizing for the attacks and stating that they would do no further attacks on U.S. Military assets. That tells me that Iran is trying to contain the conflict at the current level of escalation. An attack on U.S. military assets, even if carried out by an Iranian proxy and not by the Iranian military itself, is an escalation. So I think Iran is trying to really contain this. The next step of escalation would be if the U.S. retaliates by bombing Iran directly. And I think all sides are hoping for the U.S. to refrain from this. So it's a very delicate situation. In my view, and I posted about this as well on our website, the big solution to all this is a peace deal in Gaza. That's what the US is working very heavily on. We'll get back a little bit in a moment to the energy side of things, but of course, just to keep you updated, we're still only seeing very, very few Russian ships sailing through the Red Sea. Whenever ships close in on the Red Sea, they are still attacked by the Houthis. So that crisis is still ongoing. And basically, as we mentioned last week or the week before on this show, the only solution I see to the Red Sea problem right now is a peace deal between Israel and Hamas, and that is still quite a tall order. We heard reports that the Tesla, is it called a mega or gigafactory in Berlin? I don't know. I always get those confused. But we heard reports that it shut down this Monday because simply of a lack of components, because components were delayed due to having to sail around Africa. And that's probably one of the first incidents of true industrial delays or increased costs that will come as a consequence of that. So that crisis is still very much going on. We are closely monitoring the effects on inflation and how that might change the course and strategy of central banks. But now, Ulrik, I would like to turn for the end of the show to the attention to an article you wrote earlier this week called "Should You Buy Your Christmas Presents Already?" And I mean, we're recording this on February 1st. I was quite relieved to get out of the Christmas
and all of a sudden I start talking about Christmas, right?
My God, what's that all about?
So over the last month, we have covered the global shipping troubles in both the Suez Channel and Panama Channel, and recently we have published a free article on our website summing up what has happened and what to expect going forward. And we have, of course, named the article or titled the article, "You should consider buying your Christmas presents now," as a bit of thought provocation, right?
Yeah.
But if we start with the Suez troubles, the situation now is worse than it was in March of 2021 when the Ever Given accident happened. And as one would expect, when such things happens in global shipping, this has affected freight rates, where the price of a 40-foot container going from China to Europe is up some 300% over the last quarter. And furthermore, we are starting to see spillover effects to US freight rates going from China to the US, with some of those up by 100, or some of them being up around 100% in this same time frame. So now the question becomes, why should you consider buying your Christmas presents now, right? And if we look at the Ever Given accident, we actually find an example as to why you should do that. If you chart the PCE goods inflation year over year against the change in freight rates, you'll find that they are closely correlated with a 5-month lag, and therefore you should start considering buying Christmas presents now, basically, because we expect that prices will increase of course, there is this distinct difference between 2021 and now. In 2021, everybody was sat at home buying useless stuff off of Wish with their GameStop gains. However, we can observe in data points such as the Johnson Red Book and other live gauges that in the US, these indexes or these data points are up on a year-to-year basis, and hence companies will be looking to pass prices over to consumers this time as well.
Let me just save you a little bit there. So the base logic here is that what we're seeing in the Red Sea right now, the disturbances to global shipping, is likely to affect consumer prices within a range of 4 to 5 months.
If companies are able to push prices over to consumers.
Yeah, exactly. But that is what we should expect. Yeah. All else being equal.
At least to a very large extent in the US, perhaps not in Europe.
Exactly. But I mean, that only translates to April or May, where we might see price increases or perhaps even a lack of consumer goods. Why should that affect Christmas presents?
Well, the thing is, these things take very long time to resolve. And if we look at historic trade patterns, in Europe and in the US, you see goods imported from China pick up around March and April, and then peak around October, because of course companies are looking to build their inventory before Christmas. And that means we are only going to see this buying pressure increase from March and April onwards. And another thing that's important is that once the Red Sea opens, the ships or the vessels going south of Cape of Good Horn, they will of course meet with the ships who have now started to use the shortcut in the Red Sea, causing sort of a traffic jam at sea. So therefore, you see it starts escalating very quickly.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we're looking at retail buyers building up their stocks for the upcoming Christmas season already before summer, and that's why. Yeah. That's why there could be some correlation if we see an increased price.
By the way, it should be noted as well that this traffic jam at sea happened with Ever Given as well, and that only took 1 week to resolve. And already during that 1 week, global shipping firms such as Maersk decided to sail south of Africa, and that caused the traffic jam at sea once the Suez Channel opened again.
Exactly, and then we all remember the pictures, of course, both of the Ever Given ship basically sitting across the Suez Canal, but also the images of the huge backlogs of container ships heading out of Shanghai. Yeah. That was, of course, also related to COVID, but I mean, the global shipping system and all the available amount of ships and cargo space is simply not geared for huge spikes, and we are seeing some signals point towards possible pressures on and these spikes could occur in Q2. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. I know, Ulrik, you'll be keeping an eye on shipping patterns, GPS data. You'll be keeping an eye on the port of Rotterdam and all that sort of things. So we'll keep you all posted on that. It's going to have a huge effect on inflation, central banks, and potentially even your Christmas of 2024. So thanks to you, Ulrik, for joining us and giving us these insights. Thanks to you, Anne, for joining us from lovely Paris. That's all we have for you this week. Remember to go to standardresearch.com to read a lot more on energy, inflation, geopolitics, and much else. We'll see you next week.